Hi everybody, my name is Mauricio Eduardo Tico Pochambo, and I am going to explain a little bit how ClojureScript works with a series of videos. And I'm going to use the Pulsar text editor because that's what I use usually. So the first thing that I am going to do, I'm going to close this and I am going to install a bunch of packages. So we have basically 3 packages that we want to install for ClojureScript to work like seamlessly. One of them is the chlorine. It's basically the support for repos. We are going to explain this a little bit better later. The second is PowerEdit, and I'm going to install this first option because it's the one that I use, so I'm more familiar with this. And finally, we are going to install the Parinfer. It is, well, we have 2 options here. One of them is an experiment that I am doing. So basically I'm going to install the first one, that's the stable one. And this basically infers parentheses based on indentation. And you're going to see a little bit better how this all works later. So okay, they are all installed right now. So first things first, I am going to configure chlorine. And the first thing that I am going to do is to enable experimental and possible unstable features. This will go away in the future. This will be like default because they are not actually unstable anymore. And oh, let me just close this changelog. And I made a decision in the past when I did this plugin to not include any key maps because of some bugs that Atom had in the key maps and everything else. These are all gone. So we can basically use like the key maps. I can include the key maps on newer versions of Atom and Pulsar. But well, for now I did not publish a new package for it, so you'll still need to add the key maps. So for example, if you don't want to use VIM key bindings, you just copy these elements and then you open key map and you paste here. So now we have all these keystrokes for everything that you want. If you want, you don't need to restrict only for Clojure. You can do whatever you want. You can change the key map. So for example, for connect socket repo, you can, I don't know, use Ctrl+C. And that's it. Basically, I'm not going to explain this right now. I am going to explain a little bit better what will happen in a future, basically in a future video. And okay, this is all I have for now for the Pulsar editor. So now let's configure ClojureScript. And the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to generate a new file that is called the package.json. It's the famous package.json. Oh, there's something wrong here. Sorry about that, I am using an experimental version of Pulsar, so there may be some hiccups in the path. I am going to just create a simple file and then I am actually going to change to a terminal and use npm install save dev shadow cljs. The shadow cljs is basically the compiler for ClojureScript. There are 2 different compilers for ClojureScript. They are both official. Well, the compiler is the official version, but they are 2 basically tools to compile ClojureScript. One is called Figwell and the other is called Shadow CLJS. I am going to use Shadow because I prefer it and because in my opinion it is easier and integrates well with the NPM ecosystem. So now I am going to call Shadow CLJS init, and you will ask me to create this Shadow CLJS Eden file. And I am going to create it. And now, as you can see, I have a file that I can basically edit whatever I want. I don't like these defaults. I prefer basically to keep stuff in source and test for test. Dependencies, these are ClojureScript dependencies, not JavaScript dependencies. And builds are basically how I am going to configure the compiler, basically the targets. So for example, if I want to do a node target, I'm going to add this here. This is all I have for this video, and on the next one we're going to dive deeper into this configuration.